So we are ready to run an NMR spectrum. We will obtain the spectrum of the proton spectrum of the sample that's contained in the instrument currently. Under the AII software, and if the software is not running when you get to the instrument, you have an icon down here on the tray that says AII. That is the software to run the NMR instrument itself. Find nucleus, pull down, make sure H1 is clicked as it is. Then go to H1 acquisition. Basic 1D proton acquisition is what we're going to do this time. It always calls up the file manager to ask you for a name. I suggest that you use your last name or initials to start off file names. That way all of yours end up grouped together. And then give it something else that's descriptive in the name. Unknown 307, perhaps. It will automatically tag it as a proton NMR with the extension H1. So you don't need to do that. But doing a descriptor such as unknown number will help you out, or page number in your lab notebook. That's another excellent way to tag spectra. So give it a name. This time around, I'm going to let it use the default name, which is NMR FID. If you just go ahead and use the default name, do realize that every time that name gets used, the file gets overwritten. If it's a spectrum you want to keep, make sure you give it a unique name. Then click Save. And notice now it says running ZG. ZG stands for zero go. By the way, you can also just type it. Everybody's a little bit different. Some people like to type commands. Some people like pull-down menus. The nice thing about pull-down menus, especially as you guys are getting started, is you'll see several options. Let me just do that quickly, because under H1 acquisition, you see shim, ZGH, field offset, ZG acquisition, and a couple of others, and then 1D experiments and 2D experiments. So kind of as a reminder of the things that you're capable of doing. So to continue on, the spectrum's here. It doesn't look like much right now, just a couple squiggly lines, and then it goes down to pretty much nothing. That is your free induction decay. You have to go to NUTS to be able to use it. You might recall the NUTS software from using the Hitachi when it was in this room. It's the same software. It's an upgraded version of that same software, so you have more capabilities. Always click the OK to get it running. If the software is not currently running, you'll find it on the tray as NMR. Now, if you want everything to be done automatically for you, there is a macro for that. In the case of Proton NMR, it is Control F1. So if I press Control F1, you get all of it done for you. Now what the software did was the Fourier transform to turn the FID from a time domain file into a frequency domain file. And it has also added in integrations. They look very poor right now because it probably should have been shimmed. I didn't do that. And it has also assigned peak picks. You also get up this data dialog box, which has in all the parameters that the experiment was run under, and a comment box. Now in the comment box this time around, I'm just going to write a simple comment like demo spectrum and say OK. Now again, it's doing everything for you automatically. So the printer dialog box automatically appeared once I hit the OK for the data box. Make sure that the printer is set to landscape, not portrait. If the software is really being started up for the very first time that day, it will default to portrait. Spectra don't look right if they're printed in portrait. So do switch it to landscape and always take a quick glance at that to make sure it is in landscape. Then hit OK. And then the printer will do everything for you. That's a LaserJet printer. It'll print a very nice spectrum in a couple of seconds if it's been on. If it's been resting, it takes a moment to warm up. And here comes our spectrum. And that's it.